Hey there everybody, Eric from Outer Limitless coming at you today with another video. Now on my Outer Limitless 2 channel, I took a look at this T.Kell Knives Mercenary in detail. It was pretty much a tabletop review and a general discussion about this knife. But at this point, I've put this to some good hard field use, gained some additional impressions, and so here today on my primary Outer Limitless channel, we're going to go through all of those details. Now, TKell is a brand whose knives I've definitely come to greatly appreciate. Here, the Bushman, here, the Stalker. Of course, today we're looking at this Mercenary. And here, my own Outer Limitless design. This is the Accomplice prototype coming to production soon. Now, keep in mind, there is a reason why I selected TKell to be my own personal manufacturer. It's due to the quality, it's due to the overall aesthetic, it's the functional use of these great hard use and USA made knives. That's a big deal. So TKell being a military veteran, all of these being USA made with all USA sourced materials, 100% US made. That is awesome. So the Mercenary here, just a great all-American blade, getting really at this point down to some hard field use. But with that said, I have a whole bunch to do and a whole bunch to share with you. And if you're interested in seeing a little bit more about what I'm about to get into, do me a favor, stay tuned. Now, before we get too far, I would like to say thank you very much to TKell, who did provide this for review. And so here, as we get the T.Kell Mercenary into some good quality use. First thing for me, just getting down to some basic food prep, nothing significant, but I always like using my field knives for food prep. This is something that I do on a regular basis, just because, well, better than my kitchen knives, I just love using my field knives for these purposes. But as we turn the corner here, I generally use my field knives for fire prep tasks. Fire prep is something that I absolutely always use my fixed blade knives for. I love it. It is one of my favorite things to do to test the overall quality and really have a good use and serviceable use for my fixed blade knives. So the T.Kell Mercenary is a 6-inch blade length. This is a 1.375-inch depth. The overall length of the knife, 10.75 inches. This is a 0.165 thick 1095 high carbon steel full tang knife, triple tempered to 57 HRC using an exclusive post-processing treatment. This has an integral glass breaker on the hilt, and it does come with a Kydex sheath with a multi-position clip. Overall, you can see leveraging the TKell Mercenary for a number of different grips. The nice thing about the 6-inch blade, it definitely gives you different ability to switch it up, different leverage. And here you can see, generally using a full hammer grip, the grind angle on the TKell Mercenary is phenomenal. Extremely well done. That's one thing I have greatly come to enjoy about TKell knives. The grind lines are perfect. The overall edge geometry, perfect. And in this particular case, after some quick work, I definitely have myself a baton. But turning the corner here into the actual batoning, the TKell Mercenary being 0.165 inches thick, a little bit thinner than other knives that I typically have in this blade size class. I would say traditionally, I tend to go with a 3/16 inch for the most part. Other field knives of this size class, sometimes you'll see in 1/4 inch stock, which personally for me, I think is a little overbuilt. I do not need a 1/4 inch stock. 3/16, usually pretty good. That's getting closer to 0.2, where this is 0.165, just a little bit thinner, but at the same time, with that nice saber grind, you can see this is doing a nice job with the splitting tasks. Now, even getting into some stubborn wood and different things, no problem, just feeling my way through this. The one thing I did find, because this has an unsharpened swedge, it will beat up on your baton just a little bit, but at the same time, not a big deal. The fact that this can do the splitting tasks is fantastic. I do think that this performs very well for the splitting tasks, even for, a slightly smaller and thinner knife. But here, where this starts to really shine, the carving capabilities. Again, the TKell Mercenary has a phenomenal grind geometry, really well done, and leveraging the full hammer grip here, getting to some good use, just hogging down through the wood, really making quick work out of this and getting some nice kindling to start my fire. So this is a big part of my fire prep, getting some good healthy chunks and really needing to get down through the wood easily. The better it carves and the easier it is to carve, the faster this is going to go, and making absolute fast work out of this, no problem at all. But again, as I mentioned here, leveraging that hammer grip, there are a number of different positions depending on what you're trying to do. So certain times you might use that hammer grip, other times you'll get up on the choil and really lighten up and get to some finer work. So here, forward more on the blade, leveraging the finger choil, getting some smaller curls. The refined edge and the ability to find the edge grind on this is so precise that you really do have the ability to control your carving very easily. So you'll notice, even though I'm still working fairly fast, lightening up a bit, getting some nice fine curls, this is striking the balance between my kindling and starting to create a little bit of a nest as a tinder bundle. So again, depending on what you're trying to do, you can leverage this a few different ways, and grabbing onto that finger choil, really nicely done. Again, the edge geometry and the quality of the edge, phenomenal on this mercenary. And here you can see a nice little tinder pile, no problem, that's going to work out very nice. But what about those real dainty refined curls? Just trying to soften up even more. So working down and through this wood, this is going to be no problem. So again, I can't say enough good things about the edge geometry and the grind of the T.Kell Mercenary. Between it being a saber grind, which I absolutely love, that secondary bevel being perfectly ground at the exact precise angle, and then on top of that, the coatings being nice and smooth, this does have what's called a T1C or Tier 1C coating. And here you can see that nice little bundle. But what about getting some scraping tasks? The spine of the mercenary, not the sharpest, but at the same time, it can definitely do some scraping tasks. Now, results may vary. You kind of need to be careful. You need to plane down your edge and get a good square edge on the wood in order to get that fuzz. But you can see here, working at it, it is fairly effective, all things considered. Again, not the most square edge on the mercenary, but it is squared off enough to do some scraping tasks. And by the end of this, you'll see more than enough kindling, more than enough tinder, and definitely the materials and supplies I need to start my fire. But what about striking that ferro rod? No problem. As you can see here, the ferro rod being a little bit soft in this particular case, doing a nice job with the mercenary, striking down onto this little bit of a fire starter and getting things underway. So the mercenary doing a great job preparing my firewood, the mercenary doing a great job with the batoning, great job with the carving, getting all the way down, creating some fine little feathers and even some fluff, striking on that ferro rod, no problem. So for a basic camp knife, so far, this is checking all the boxes. And getting my fire good and hot, well, the best thing for me, I love cooking tasks. For me, campfires and cooking, again, one of the main things that I do with my camp knives. So keeping this mercenary busy and getting to some of my food prep. Now, a good camp knife for me is gonna have enough reach that I can kind of reach over my fire, hopefully not burn my hands, and manage my food while I'm at it. Here you can see I definitely got some chicken going. This is just a perfect test for the mercenary. The fact that it has the unsharpened swedge, it's almost a clip point. This is kind of a drop point or spear point design, but at the same time, with that unsharpened swedge, gives you a little bit of that sort of clip point aspect where you can just pick things up. I absolutely love that with my field knives, and you can see it was very effective here with the mercenary. And again, being long enough that not only can I reach into my fire, but I can pick up my chicken, flip it over, put this to good quality food prep tasks, and I'm, maybe singeing my hands just a tiny bit, but not too big of a deal. I can definitely do it as long as I'm careful. And this was a good hot fire over a good hot skillet, and the mercenary performing perfectly. And so all in all, getting me all the camp tasks that I would absolutely hope for, well, I have definitely, without a doubt, earned this meal. So everything from the fire prep all the way through my striking tasks and then getting down into the food prep. Absolutely wonderful. The T.Kell Mercenary, a fantastic camp knife. The construction, the overall features, the coatings, and the ingenuity that goes into this, I love it. Now, one thing I am going to caveat all of this with, the fact that this is really a tactically inspired knife. So keep in mind the fact that for me, I chose to use this for fire prep. I chose to use this for my camp tasks. I chose to use this for this general food prep. But at the end of it, and at the heart of it, this is a tactically and military inspired knife. So I love the fact that you can get good quality camp task and use out of something that's a tactical knife. That to me is the absolute perfect design, and from TKell, I love it. But what about the 1095? How'd it hold up? Well, at the end of the day, field serviceability is going to be key. I generally find that basic use on a ceramic rod and a leather strop is going to do 99% of what you need. Unless you chunk a blade you really don't need, hard abrasives or diamond. So here, checking the edge, nice and sharp, and just a little bit of field touch up on this 1095. Fantastic. So a great job from TKell. And so, all right, guys, there you have it. A look at the T.Kell Mercenary. Fantastic field use, just wonderful. Little bit thinner than some of the other field knives that I typically use for woodscraft and fire prep, but at the same time, the 1095, beautifully heat treated, a wonderful production from TKell. This coating, phenomenal. Absolutely held up wonderfully. And as you look at it in detail, you can see how well it really did hold up. Tim has spent a huge amount of time just really like researching and inventing these coatings. I mean, these are really pretty much at this point, I would say almost proprietary to him. And so, I mean, you're getting something that really has his sort of talent and intuition and just ingenuity going into this, and you can see how well, after all of that use, this has really held up. And also keep in mind, I mean, I have used this Mercenary at this point far beyond what you've seen in the video, mostly at this point for some food prep. I use this knife on almost a daily basis. I like it that much. It just really deserves to be used. Does a great job, just a phenomenal job with the food prep. Absolutely wonderful. So this Mercenary has a lot of different great roles for the user. It really does make a fantastic camp knife. And I always say that the sheath can make or break the user experience. So having a wonderful sheath really does make the experience. And I have come to love this sheath. The retention, perfect. The ability to dial it in with this knob, tons of lashing points. And Tim's really here 3D printed mechanism, this has worked out very well. So this particular sort of clip system is a multi-part system. You have just a fairly standard belt clip here, which this is a great design. I love that you can get your thumb under there and lift this up. That works very well to get it off of your belt with ease. But at the same time, it's Tim's 3D printed mount that really does make it, standing off the sheath perfectly, giving you multi-positions, and I just like it. This really does hang down off your belt just about the perfect distance the way it's mounted right here. I absolutely love it. And the overall just fit and finish of this Kydex drainage hole, eyelets are perfect, just really nicely done. So the TKell manufacturing across the board, phenomenal. And so again, I would like to say thank you very much to TKell for providing this for review. As I mentioned the entire time, excellent performance, feels great in the hands. I mean, the only thing that, and it depends, it's to each their own, and this is also a feature, very thin. So if you like a thicker handle, that is just the one thing. I mean, it is fairly thin, but at the same time, you can get these either with the grenade grip or with the standard grip. And so the standard grip does fill out just maybe a little bit more, or at least it makes you think it does, and maybe just a little bit softer on the hands. The grenade grip doing a wonderful job. No sliding or twisting in the hands. That's a big deal. So the Mercenary carving very well, splitting well, It's going to be a little bit light for chopping, but you can certainly do it. And don't forget, at the heart of it, this is really a tactically inspired knife. So all in all, beautifully done. I absolutely love the Mercenary. I can highly recommend it. And do me a favor, if you like this content, take a look at my Outer Limitless 2 channel, which is where I covered this in the first place. At this point, that channel is growing quickly. I have a ton of videos up there. So if you like what you see here on Outer Limitless, do me a favor and check me out on Outer Limitless 2. So all right, guys, thanks for stopping by. I hope you like what you saw. I hope you found it a little bit informative. If you like what you saw, please like, share, and subscribe. And as always, thanks for stopping by. Take care now. I'll see you soon.